Amanda Williams had it all. At 31, she was the youngest senior vice president at CyberShield Inc., one of the Southeast's fastest-growing cybersecurity firms. She lived in a luxury penthouse in Buckhead. She drove a Tesla Model X. She wore designer clothes to her mother's church in Southwest Atlanta, where everyone admired the power couple, Amanda and her husband, Marcus. Marcus Williams was everything a successful black family could want. Morehouse graduate, MBA from Wharton, corporate attorney at one of Atlanta's top firms, 6'3", handsome, drove a Mercedes S-Class. They'd married 5 years ago in a wedding that rivaled celebrity affairs. 500 guests, 3 dress changes, a reception at the St. Regis that people still talked about. From the outside, perfect. The kind of black excellence her parents' generation dreamed of. From the inside, Amanda couldn't remember the last time Marcus had really looked at her. Not at her accomplishments, not at her body, at her... Their marriage had become a performance. They attended Morehouse Spelman alumni events together, smiled for Instagram photos, maintained the image of black love. But in private, Marcus spent nights at the office or networking with partners. Their bedroom had 2 people who slept in the same bed but lived in different worlds. Sex was scheduled, perfunctory. Marcus would initiate maybe twice a month, usually after late-night drinks with colleagues, usually when he needed to prove something to himself. It lasted 12 minutes, sometimes less. He never asked what she wanted. She'd stopped telling him years ago. "You good, right?" he'd asked once, rolling off her and reaching for his phone. She'd lied. "Yeah, I'm good." Amanda had convinced herself this was normal. This was marriage after 5 years. Passion fades. Stability matters. Her mother's voice echoed constantly. A good marriage is about partnership, baby, not those romance novels you used to read. But late at night, alone, while Marcus snored beside her, scrolling through cases on his iPad, even in sleep, Amanda wondered if this was really all there was. The International Cybersecurity Summit in San Francisco. 3 days of panels, networking, hotel conference rooms. Marcus was supposed to join her, a rare couples trip, mixing business with pleasure. He canceled last minute. "Client crisis, babe. Big case. You understand?" She understood that client crisis had become code for, "I don't prioritize you." The first day was routine until the virtual panel on blockchain security. Technical difficulties left her in a breakout room with only one other person, a voice from the Philippines. "Hello? Is anyone else getting this buffering issue, or is it just my sad Manila internet?" His accent was warm, slightly musical. Filipino, she guessed. There was humor in his frustration. "I'm getting it too," she replied. "I think we're the only 2 here." "Well, this is awkward." She could hear the smile in his voice. "I'm Felix Reyes. And you are?" Amanda Williams. "Beautiful name. Are you calling in from the States?" "Atlanta. You?" "Manila, Philippines. So it's," he paused, "about 1 a.m. here. I really hope this session is worth the insomnia." She laughed, really laughed, for the first time in months. "Let me guess, you're dedicated to your craft? Or just terrible at saying no to professional development opportunities?" Pause. "So do we wait for others, or do we just talk about blockchain security like 2 people stuck in an elevator?" "Let's talk blockchain. Maybe we can make it interesting." Challenge accepted. That 30-minute technical delay became 3 hours. They talked about encryption protocols, yes, but also about Atlanta traffic versus Manila traffic, both terrible in different ways. About the pressure of being the eldest child, they both were. About working in industries where you had to prove yourself twice as hard. Felix was 34, a cybersecurity consultant who'd built his own firm after years grinding in corporate Manila. He was funny without trying, brilliant without arrogance, and genuinely interested in her thoughts, not her title, not her LinkedIn headline, but her actual ideas. When the session ended, Amanda felt something she hadn't felt in years, disappointment that a conversation was over. "This was unexpectedly great," Felix said. "It really was. Can I add you on LinkedIn? Professionally, of course. I promise I'm not one of those creepy guys who slides into DMs." She smiled at her screen. "Of course." That night, back in her hotel room, she stared at Felix's LinkedIn profile. His photo showed a man with kind eyes, dark hair with hints of silver at the temples, a genuine smile that reached his eyes. Not the polished corporate look like Marcus, but there was something magnetic about his face, something real. She closed the laptop quickly, guilt washing over her. This was innocent, a professional connection, nothing more. But that night, she dreamed of a voice with a Filipino accent and woke up feeling like she'd betrayed something she couldn't name. It started with a LinkedIn message about an article on ransomware attacks, innocent. Then another about a security breach at Equifax, professional. Then an email exchange about a technical question on her latest project, helpful. Then WhatsApp, because email is so corporate, right? Then daily messages, because they were becoming friends, just friends. Amanda told herself she was networking, building international connections. Marcus was always saying she should think more globally about her career. But she knew she was lying. She started waking up early, 5 a.m. in Atlanta with 6 p.m. in Manila. Felix's evening, winding down from work. They'd message while she had coffee before Marcus woke up. Those stolen morning moments became sacred. Felix told her about his life, building a business while supporting his mother and siblings after his father died young, the weight of family expectations in Filipino culture, the loneliness of success when you achieve it but have no one to share it with who truly understands. I was engaged once, he confessed one morning. Anna, beautiful, successful, everything I thought I wanted. She left because, and I quote, "You're married to your family and your work. There's no room for me." Was she right? Amanda asked. Completely. I chose everyone else's needs over hers, over us. I thought providing financially was the same as loving emotionally. I thought if I could pay for everything, that proved my love. What did you learn? That I was so busy being what everyone needed me to be, the provider, the responsible son, the successful entrepreneur, I forgot to figure out who I actually was underneath all those roles. Amanda stared at that message for 10 minutes. It was like reading her own soul in someone else's words. She found herself sharing things she'd never told anyone, about her marriage becoming a performance piece, about feeling invisible in her own home, about wondering if she'd traded her authenticity for the appearance of success. "Does Marcus know you feel this way?" Felix asked. "I've tried talking to him. He says I'm being emotional or overthinking. Last month I suggested couples therapy. He literally laughed, said, 'We're fine, Amanda. You just need to chill. Maybe take a girls' trip or something.' You're not fine." "No," she typed, heart pounding. "I'm really not." June 2018, the first video call. "Can I see your face?" Felix asked one night. "I want to see the person behind these words." Amanda's hand trembled as she clicked the video call button. This felt like crossing a line. Messages were one thing, but video? Seeing each other in real time? His face appeared on screen, and something in her chest tightened. He was attractive, yes, strong features, warm brown eyes, that silver-touched hair she'd noticed in his photo. But it was more than physical. It was the way he looked at her through the camera, like she was the only thing worth seeing. "Hi," he said softly. "Hi." They stared at each other for a long moment, and Amanda felt more seen than in 5 years of marriage. "You are beautiful," Felix said. Not in the way men usually said it, automatic, empty, transactional, but like he'd discovered something precious and was afraid of breaking it with careless words. "You are not what I expected," she replied. Disappointed? Terrified. Of what? Of how much I want to keep looking at you. The confession hung in the digital space between them. Neither spoke for a long moment. "Amanda," Felix said finally, his voice careful, "are we going to acknowledge what this is becoming?" "I'm married," she whispered. "I know. This is wrong. I know that too. We should stop. Should we?" She closed her eyes. Every rational thought screamed, "Yes! Stop now! Delete the number! Save your marriage! You're a black woman from a good family. You don't blow up your life for a man you've never met in person." But when she opened her eyes, Felix was still there, still looking at her with those dark, understanding eyes that seemed to see straight through her carefully constructed walls. "I don't want to," she admitted. "Neither do I." It was 2 a.m. in Atlanta. Amanda couldn't sleep. Marcus was snoring beside her, smelling of expensive cologne and bourbon from whatever networking event he had attended. He'd come home at midnight, kissed her forehead absently, and passed out. She went to the living room, curled up on their expensive sectional, and called Felix. It was 3 p.m. in Manila. "Can't sleep?" he asked, concerned, immediately in his voice. "He came home drunk again, didn't even ask about my day. I closed the biggest deal of my career today, Felix. $15 million contract. The CEO personally called to congratulate me, and my husband didn't even notice." "Amanda, that's incredible. I'm so proud of you." She started crying. "Why does a man in the Philippines care more about my achievements than my own husband? I'm not just a man in the Philippines anymore." "No," she agreed, her voice breaking. "What do you want, Amanda? Really, not what you're supposed to want. What does your heart actually want?" "I want to feel alive again. I want someone to look at me like I matter, like I'm not just a trophy wife with a career. I want—" She stopped, afraid to say it out loud. "Say it. I want you." The words hung there, irreversible, terrifying, liberating. "I want you too," Felix said quietly. "I think about you constantly. When I wake up, you're my first thought. When I'm working, I'm wondering what you're doing. I imagine what it would be like to hold you, to kiss you, to—" He stopped. "But you're married. To a man who hasn't touched me with any real feeling in 3 years. We have sex, Felix, but we don't make love. He doesn't know where I like to be touched, doesn't care what makes me feel good. I'm just convenient when he needs physical release." "Jesus, Amanda. I'm sorry, that was too much information. No, I'm angry for you. You deserve so much more than that. You deserve someone who worships every inch of you, who pays attention, who makes you feel cherished." She was crying harder now. "I want to meet you. I need to know if this feeling is real, or if I'm just desperate and lonely and romanticizing a fantasy." "When?" "I don't know. How do we even—" "I'll come to Atlanta," Felix said immediately. "Tell me when and I'll be on a plane." "That's insane. That's like a 20-hour flight. I flew from Manila to Dubai for a 3-day conference last year. I'll fly twice that distance for you." "Felix!" "I love you, Amanda. I know I shouldn't. I know it's complicated and messy and morally questionable. But I love you." Her world stopped. Marcus had stopped saying "I love you" sometime during year 2 of their marriage. It became night instead of "love you, good night." See you instead of "love you, have a good day." Those 3 words had become extinct in her marriage. "I love you too," she whispered. And with those words, she stepped off a cliff with no idea where she'd land. Amanda told Marcus she had a cybersecurity conference in Charlotte for 3 days. He barely looked up from his laptop. "Cool. Bring me back some of that Carolina BBQ if you remember." No questions about which conference, which hotel, who she'd be meeting. Nothing. Just a BBQ request. She booked a boutique hotel in Midtown Atlanta, far from their Buckhead social circle, far from anyone who might recognize her. Felix flew into Hartsfield-Jackson, enduring 24 hours of travel, Manila to Tokyo to Dallas to Atlanta, because a woman he'd never touched had said, "I love you." Amanda waited in the hotel lobby, heart hammering so hard she thought it might burst through her chest. What if this was a catastrophic mistake? What if the chemistry they felt online evaporated in person? What if she was throwing away her marriage, her reputation, everything she'd built for a fantasy? Then she saw him. Felix walked through the lobby doors, pulling a carry-on, eyes scanning the room with the slight nervousness of a man about to meet his destiny. When his eyes found her, his entire face transformed. That smile, genuine, unguarded, full of joy at seeing her. She stood on unsteady legs, their eyes locked. Felix crossed the lobby in long strides, and his hands were cupping her face, and his lips were on hers, and the entire world disappeared. The kiss was desperate, hungry, months of longing compressed into a single searing moment. She tasted him, coffee and mint, and something uniquely him, and felt tears streaming down her face. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Felix pressed his forehead to hers. "You're real," he whispered, his accent thicker with emotion. "So are you." They made it to the elevator, barely, his hands on her waist, her back against the wall, kissing like teenagers, like people starved for touch, for connection, for being genuinely wanted rather than simply convenient. The hotel room. The moment the door closed, Amanda's phone buzzed. Marcus. "Client dinner running late. Staying at the firm tonight. Easier than driving home drunk. Be safe." The irony was almost laughable. Here she was, about to commit the ultimate betrayal, and her husband couldn't even be bothered to pretend he'd miss her. "You okay?" Felix asked, watching her face carefully. "I'm standing in a hotel room with a man who isn't my husband. I should feel guilty." "Do you?" "No. I feel alive again for the first time in 5 years. I feel like I'm finally doing something honest instead of performing."
She looked at him. "Is that terrible?" "It's human." She set her phone down, turned it off completely. Whatever happened in the next 3 days, she didn't want the outside world intruding. Felix sat on the edge of the bed, giving her space, not assuming anything. "We don't have to do anything you're not ready for. You flew 24 hours. I'm ready." "Amanda?" She crossed to him, standing between his knees, his hands settled on her hips, tentative, asking permission with every touch. "Do you know what it's like," she said softly, "to be touched without feeling, to have someone inside you while feeling completely alone, to be a body rather than a person?" His jaw tightened. "No. Marcus touches my body, but he doesn't see me. He doesn't notice when I respond to something, doesn't care what I need, doesn't ask what I want. It's mechanical, scheduled, loveless." She cupped Felix's face, feeling the slight stubble, the warmth of his skin. "When you look at me through a screen, I feel more seen than when Marcus is inside me." Felix pulled her down to him, kissing her with a tenderness that made her ache in places she'd forgotten existed. This wasn't the desperate urgency of the lobby. This was slow, reverent, intentional, paying attention. He undressed her carefully, noticing everything, the way she shivered when he kissed her neck, the soft sound she made when his hands traced her collarbone, the way her breathing changed when he whispered her name against her skin. "Tell me what you like," he murmured, his lips trailing along her shoulder. "Tell me what makes you feel good." No one had ever asked, not once in her entire adult life. That night, Amanda discovered what it felt like to be worshipped. Felix learned her body like studying something precious and complex, attentive to every signal, every response, every subtle change in her breathing. He asked questions, adjusted based on her answers, paid attention like her pleasure was the most important thing in the world. When he finally moved inside her, their eyes locked, and Amanda realized she'd never actually made love before. She'd had sex, she'd been physically intimate, but this soul-deep connection, this vulnerability, this being completely present with another person, this was entirely new territory. After, lying in his arms, Felix's fingers tracing lazy patterns on her back, she cried. "Did I hurt you?" he asked immediately, alarm in his voice. "No, you healed something I didn't even know was broken." They barely left the hotel room that first day, but between the passion, between discovering each other's bodies, they talked, really talked, in a way Amanda hadn't talked to anyone in years. "When did your marriage die?" Felix asked, both of them lying tangled in expensive hotel sheets, room service trays abandoned on the desk. "I don't think it was ever really alive. We got married because it made sense. Perfect on paper. Our families were thrilled. Both of us successful, both Morehouse Spellman legacy, both climbing corporate ladders. We looked good together. Black excellence personified. His mother loved showing us off at Jack and Jill events." "Did you love him?" "I thought I did. But now I think I just love the idea of being chosen by someone successful. I was 26, desperate to prove I could have it all. Career and marriage, brains and beauty, power and partnership. I didn't stop to ask if I actually wanted him specifically. I wanted what he represented. And now? Now I'm 31, more successful than I ever dreamed, and completely hollow inside. She looked at Felix. Until you. I'm not a solution, Amanda. I'm a complication. I know. What are we doing here, really? I don't know, but for the first time in years, I feel something other than numb. I feel scared and excited and alive and terrified. I'll take that over comfortable numbness. Day 2, the fear. Reality crept in on the second day. I can't leave him, Amanda said over breakfast in bed. Fresh fruit, coffee, croissants, neither of them was really eating. Do you understand what divorce means for me? The shame in my family. My mother would be devastated. The church would gossip for years. Our entire social circle would choose sides, and I'd probably lose. Everyone would say I threw away a good black man, a successful marriage. Is it a good marriage? It's a respectable marriage. That's all that matters in my world. Appearance over authenticity. Felix was quiet for a long time. What do you want me to say? I don't know. Do you want me to fight for you? To tell you to leave him, consequences be damned? Would you? In a heartbeat. But I won't be the reason you blow up your life. That choice has to be yours. I won't be your escape or your escape route. What if I can't make that choice? Then we end this now, before it gets worse, before we're in so deep we can't find our way out. Amara felt panic rise in her chest. I don't want to end this. I don't want to be your escape either. I want to be your choice, your deliberate, eyes wide open choice. But I can't be that while you're still married to someone else. Day 3, the breaking point. Their last day. Felix's flight was at 8 p.m., back to Manila, back to his life, back to 8,000 miles of distance. They spent the morning in silence, both knowing they were standing at a crossroads with no clear path forward. Come with me, Felix said suddenly over lunch at a quiet corner table. To Manila. Just visit, see my world, see if this is real outside of hotel rooms and WhatsApp messages. I can't just leave. You said you have 3 weeks of vacation you never use because Marcus never wants to travel together. Take them. Tell him it's a work trip, cybersecurity consulting in Southeast Asia. Give us 2 weeks to figure out if this is worth fighting for. And if it is, then you go home and make a choice. Stay in your marriage and we never contact each other again. Or leave him and we figure out how to build something real across the distance. That's insane. So is falling in love with someone 8,000 miles away. He took her hands across the table. Amanda, in 3 days, you've shown me what it feels like to be someone's priority, to be chosen, to be seen and cherished. And I won't settle for less anymore. And you shouldn't either. She looked at this man who'd flown across the world for her, who saw her completely and loved what he saw, who made her body sing and her heart hope for the first time in years. Then she thought of Marcus, who wouldn't notice if she was gone for 2 weeks, who hadn't asked about her dreams in 6 months, who shared her bed but not her life. Okay, she whispered. Okay? I'll come to Manila. In 3 weeks. I need time to arrange things at work, come up with a believable story. Felix kissed her like she was oxygen and he was drowning. Amanda went home. Marcus barely noticed she'd been gone. How was Charlotte? She asked, not looking up from his phone at the kitchen island. Enlightening. Good, good. Hey, I'm flying to LA next week for depositions. Be gone maybe 10 days. She stared at him. Okay. That night, unable to sleep next to a stranger who wore her husband's face, she did something she'd never done before. She logged into their joint credit card account, something Marcus had always handled, claiming she was too busy with her own career to worry about household finances. She found hotel charges in Los Angeles from 3 months ago, when he'd supposedly been in Birmingham for a case. Charges at romantic restaurants in Beverly Hills. A jewelry purchase from Tiffany & Co. She'd received no jewelry. Her hands shaking, she dug deeper, found a pattern going back years, different cities, always hotels, always upscale restaurants, always jewelry she never saw, always during trips he claimed were work. Her husband was having an affair, multiple affairs probably, and she felt nothing. No heartbreak, no betrayal, no tears. Just a strange, cold sense of relief and clarity. She'd been torturing herself with guilt over Felix, drowning in shame, and Marcus had been cheating for possibly their entire marriage. The next morning, after Marcus left for the office, she called her best friend from Spelman, Jasmine, who was now a private investigator. "Jazz, I need your help, and I need you not to judge me. Girl, what's going on? I think Marcus is cheating. I need proof. If I'm going to blow up my life, I need ammunition." Amanda told Marcus she had a cybersecurity consulting opportunity in Southeast Asia, 2 weeks in Manila, working with a firm expanding their operations. "That's great, babe. Good for your career. International experience looks good." He kissed her forehead absently, already looking back at his laptop. "I'll be in San Francisco anyway, so timing works." San Francisco, where Jasmine had just confirmed he was meeting his latest mistress, a paralegal from his firm. Amanda landed in Manila with a carry-on suitcase, a marriage held together by lies, and a heart full of terrifying possibility. Felix met her at Ninoy Aquino International Airport at 2 a.m., and the moment she saw him in the arrivals hall, everything else fell away. Meeting his world. Felix's life was nothing like Marcus's polished, wealthy, curated existence. He lived in a modern but modest condo in Makati, the business district. Nice, but not aggrandized. He still sent money home to his mother and siblings in the province. His business was successful, but not flashy. No designer labels, no luxury car, no showing off. But his family, oh, his family. His mother, Alina, came to Manila from Pampanga to meet Amanda. She was reserved at first, protective of his son, clearly skeptical of this American woman who appeared in his life. But Elena cooked for Amanda, sinigang and adobo and pancit, asked her questions about her family, her work, her intentions. Slowly, cautiously, warmed. His younger sister, Sophia, a nursing student at UST, was more direct. "You're married," she said bluntly one afternoon while Felix was at a client meeting.
"Yes," Amanda admitted. "But you love my brother." "Yes." "Does your husband know you're here?" "No." Sophia studied her with sharp, intelligent eyes. "Then you need to figure out what you're doing. Kuya has been hurt enough. He spent 5 years rebuilding himself after Anna left. I won't watch someone break him again." It was the accountability Amanda needed, the honest confrontation she'd been avoiding. That night, lying with Felix on his balcony overlooking the Manila skyline, jeepneys honking stories below, she told him everything. The private investigator's findings, the years of affairs, the jewelry, the hotels, the lies, the complete sham her marriage had become. "I've been drowning in guilt," she said, voice breaking, "and he's been lying to me for years, maybe our entire marriage." "How do you feel?" "Free, angry, stupid for not seeing it sooner, relieved that I'm not the villain I thought I was." "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to divorce him." Felix turned to look at her, searching her face in the dim light. "Don't do it for me." "I'm not. I'm doing it for me, because you taught me something, Felix. You taught me what it feels like to be someone's first choice, to be seen and chosen and cherished, and I deserve that. Even if you and I don't work out long term, I deserve more than a husband who sees me as attractive furniture." The 2 weeks. They were honest, messy, beautifully imperfect. Felix showed her his struggles, the guilt of taking time for himself when his family needed him financially, the pressure of being the family patriarch at 34, the exhaustion of being everyone's provider and safety net. Amanda showed him her fears of losing her career identity, of her family's judgment, of starting over at 31, of being seen as the bitter black woman who couldn't keep her man. They argued about cultural differences, about American directness versus Filipino pakisama, about future children and where they'd live, and whose career would take priority, and how to blend 2 completely different worlds. But they also laughed, explored Manila together, Intramuros, Rizal Park, the chaos of Divisoria Market, made love in his bed in broad daylight without shame or scheduling, built something honest brick by brick. On her last night, Elena pulled her aside while Felix was washing dishes. "My son loves you, really loves you. I see it in his eyes, the way they light up when you enter a room." "I love you too, ma'am." "Then are you going to break his heart?" "I'm going to try very hard not to." "Then do what you need to do back home, but do it decisively. Don't leave him in limbo, wondering, hoping. That's cruelty." "I understand." Elena touched her hand. "You're different from Anna. She wanted him to be someone he wasn't. You see who he actually is. That's rare." Amanda returned home with diamond clarity. She hired the best divorce attorney in Atlanta, a woman known for dismantling cheating husbands, gathered all the evidence Jasmine had collected, prepared herself for war. She filed for divorce 2 weeks before Christmas. Marcus's reaction was pure shock. "You're leaving me? For what? What did I do?" "For myself, and because you've been cheating on me for years. You can't prove." She opened her laptop, showed him the evidence, hotel receipts, restaurant charges, photos Jasmine had taken of him with 3 different women over the past 2 months, text messages obtained through legal means. Marcus went pale, then angry. "You had me investigated? What kind of crazy?" "To the kind who got tired of being lied to, the kind who deserves better than a husband who sees her as a convenient accessory. You can explain all of this." "I don't care. I'm done, Marcus. Completely done." "Your family will disown you. You know how your mother is about divorce." "Maybe, but I'll finally own myself. I'll finally live honestly instead of performing for everyone's approval." "You met someone," he said, eyes narrowing. "That Charlotte trip. You met someone." "Yes, but that's not why I'm leaving. I'm leaving because you checked out of this marriage years ago, because you've been unfaithful repeatedly, because I refuse to waste another day in a marriage that's been dead for years, and I was just too scared to admit it." The divorce was ugly. Her mother cried days, called her selfish, said she was throwing away a good man. Her father was quieter, but disappointed. Church members gossiped endlessly. Friends chose sides, and many chose Marcus, the local boy, the Morehouse man, the one with deeper Atlanta roots. But Amanda discovered something profound. Freedom felt better than approval. Authenticity felt better than maintaining appearances. She lost friends, lost her place in certain social circles, but she kept her dignity, her career, her self-respect, and her ability to look at herself in the mirror. The settlement was generous. Marcus's guilt and the evidence made him compliant. She kept the penthouse, most of their assets, and walked away financially secure. With the divorce finalized, Amanda flew back to Manila. "I'm free," she told Felix at the airport. "What does that mean for us?" "It means I'm choosing you, not as an escape from Marcus, not as a rebellion against my family, but because I love you, because you see me, because life with you feels like actually living, and I'm done just surviving and performing." "I'm scared," Felix admitted, pulling her close in the middle of the arrivals hall, not caring who was watching. "Me too. What if we don't work long term? What if the distance is too much? What if cultural differences tear us apart? Then we'll have tried, and I'll still be free. That alone is worth everything I've been through." 3 years later, Amanda and Felix married in a small ceremony in Savannah, neutral ground, away from Atlanta's judgment and Manila's expectations. Some family came, some didn't. Amanda's mother attended, but barely spoke. Felix's family entirely came, embraced Amanda fully.
They split their time between Atlanta and Manila, both maintaining their careers, both compromising constantly, both fighting through cultural clashes and communication gaps, and the exhausting work of building a blended, intercontinental life. It wasn't easier than her first marriage, it was harder, but it was real, it was honest, it was chosen. Felix learned to navigate American racial dynamics, Southern culture, the specific pressures of being a black woman's partner. Amanda learned to honor Filipino family obligations, the importance of saving face, the cultural dance of pakisama. They created something neither had experienced before, true partnership. "Do you regret it?" Felix asked on their 3rd anniversary, both of them in their Atlanta home, the penthouse she'd kept, now filled with both their lives. "Destroying my first marriage? No, it was already destroyed. I just finally admitted it." "Do you regret the pain it caused your family?" "I regret hurting people who didn't deserve it, but I don't regret choosing myself for the first time in my life." She looked at him, this man who'd shown her what love could actually be when both people were fully present. "I regret wasting years being comfortable instead of happy. I regret not knowing myself well enough to choose better the first time."
I regret the pain I caused. But Felix, I don't regret you. Not for a single second. Felix pulled her close. I don't regret flying 8,000 miles for a woman I'd never met. That was absolutely insane. Best decision of my life. The real work begins. Their life wasn't a fairy tale. It was work. Daily, intentional work. There were arguments about money. Amanda's tendency to spend versus Felix's Filipino frugality born from supporting an extended family. Fights about communication, her American directness that sometimes felt harsh to him, his indirect approach that sometimes felt evasive to her. Struggles about where to spend holidays, her family in Atlanta who'd barely accepted him, his family in Manila who expected them every Christmas. Debates about having children, whether they'd raise them in America or the Philippines, what values to prioritize, how to navigate being biracial in both countries. But they fought fair. They apologized when wrong. They chose each other even when it was hard. The unexpected blessing. 2 years into their marriage, Amanda got pregnant, unplanned but welcomed. Her mother, who'd barely spoken to her since the divorce, softened when she learned about the baby. "A grandchild is a grandchild," she said stiffly on the phone. It wasn't forgiveness, but it was a door cracking open. When their daughter, Sophia Elena Williams Reyes, was born in Atlanta, with Felix's entire family having flown over from Manila, Amanda's mother held her granddaughter and cried. "She's beautiful," she whispered. "She is," Amanda agreed. Her mother looked at Felix, really looked at him for the first time, saw the way he gazed at Amanda with complete adoration, saw the way he'd advocated for Amanda's needs in the delivery room, held her hand through every contraction, cried when Sophia was born. "He loves you," her mother said quietly. "Really loves you." "Yes, Mama, he does." Marcus never looked at you like that. It was the closest her mother would come to admitting Amanda had made the right choice. The community they built. Amanda and Felix found their tribe, other intercultural couples navigating similar challenges, other people who'd chosen authenticity over appearance, other believers that love was worth fighting for, even when the world made it complicated. They started a blog together, Love Across Borders, sharing their story, the struggles, the beauty, the reality. It resonated. Thousands of followers, messages from people who felt seen. "Your story gave me courage to leave my dead marriage," one woman wrote. "Seeing you two made me believe interracial love can work," another shared. "I'm Filipino American, and seeing Felix succeed in America while staying connected to his culture inspires me," a young man commented. They'd become accidentally inspirational simply by being honest about their journey. The full circle moment. 3 years after their wedding, Amanda was invited to speak at a cybersecurity conference in San Francisco, the same organization where she and Felix had first met in that glitchy virtual breakout room. Felix came with her. They walked into the conference center hand in hand. "This is where it started," she said, squeezing his hand. "Best technical difficulty of my life." During her keynote on cybersecurity in the age of AI, Amanda went off script near the end. "5 years ago, I attended this conference. A technical glitch put me in a virtual room with a stranger from Manila. That stranger became my best friend, then the love of my life, then my husband and the father of my child." The audience murmured, intrigued. "I was married to someone else at the time. I won't pretend that part of my story is simple or clean or morally uncomplicated. But that random connection made me question everything about my life, made me ask hard questions, made me realize I was living for everyone else's approval instead of my own authenticity." She found Felix in the audience. He was smiling, tears in his eyes. Sometimes love doesn't arrive neatly. Sometimes it's messy and complicated and forces you to make impossible choices. But I believe we're meant to find people who see us, really see us. And when you find that person, you have to be brave enough to choose them, choose yourself, choose honesty over comfort. The standing ovation lasted 3 minutes. Afterward, a young woman approached Amanda. She looked around nervously, then leaned in close. "I'm in a dead marriage too. Everyone thinks we're perfect, but I'm dying inside. I met someone who makes me feel alive, and I'm terrified." Amanda took her hands. "I can't tell you what to do, but I can tell you this. You get one life, one, not a dress rehearsal, the real thing, and you deserve to live it honestly." The woman's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you." Amanda sat in her home office in Atlanta, Sophia napping in the next room, Felix on a video call with a client in Manila. She opened her laptop and began writing their story, the real story. No filtering, no sanitizing. She wrote about the guilt and the betrayal and the fear, about hotel rooms and stolen moments and the agony of loving someone you couldn't have, about divorce and family disappointment and choosing yourself when the world tells you to stay small and acceptable. She wrote about discovering that her husband had been unfaithful all along, that her guilt was built on his lies, about flying to Manila and meeting a family who welcomed her with open arms, about building a life across 2 countries with someone who'd flown across the world because she said, "I love you." She wrote about the hard parts too, the arguments, the cultural clashes, the moments of doubt, about being a Black American woman married to a Filipino man and navigating both racism and xenophobia, about raising a biracial child in a world that would question her identity, about maintaining careers across time zones and never quite feeling fully at home in either country. But mostly, she wrote about choice, about deciding that authenticity mattered more than approval, that feeling alive was worth risking everything comfortable, that love, real, honest, see you completely love, was worth fighting for. She titled it, "When Hearts Cross Oceans, How I Destroyed My Perfect Life and Found My Real One." The final truth. That evening, with Sophia fed and sleeping, Amanda and Felix sat on their balcony watching the Atlanta sunset. The same city where she had once lived a perfect lie now held her authentic life. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if that conference technical glitch hadn't occurred?" asked Felix. "Every day. And I'd probably still be married to Marcus, still successful and hollow, still performing instead of living, still wondering why I felt so empty despite having everything I thought I wanted. Any regrets? About us? Never. About the pain I caused? Yes. About the relationships I lost? Sometimes. About choosing myself and choosing you?" She turned to face him fully. "Not for 1 second." Felix kissed her forehead. "I love you, Amanda Williams Reyes." "I love you, Felix Reyes. Thank you for being crazy enough to fly 8,000 miles for a woman you'd never met. Thank you for being brave enough to blow up your life for a shot at real happiness." Inside, Sophia started crying, ready for her evening feeding. They both stood, but Amanda paused. "Felix? Yeah? Promise me something. Promise me that if we ever start sleepwalking through this marriage, if we ever become what Marcus and I were, we'll have the courage to either fix it or be honest about it." "I promise,"
But Amanda, I don't think we'll have that problem. Why not? Because we didn't choose safety. We chose each other with our eyes wide open. We know what dead marriages look like. We know what settling feels like. We've both been there. We won't go back. She smiled. No, we won't. They went inside together to their daughter, to their imperfect, honest, beautiful life that they'd built from the rubble of comfortable lies. Soft, contemplative music. Some people will judge Amanda's story, call her selfish, say she should have tried harder to fix her first marriage, question whether her love with Felix is real or built on betrayal. But Amanda knows the truth. I wasn't brave enough to leave Marcus until Felix showed me what I was missing. And yes, that's complicated. Yes, that's messy. Yes, there are no clean hands in this story. But she also knows that staying in a dead marriage while both partners were unfaithful, her emotionally, him physically, wasn't noble. It was cowardly. It was living a lie. She knows that her marriage to Marcus was already over. She just hadn't admitted it yet. That finding Felix didn't destroy her marriage. It simply revealed that it had already been destroyed from within. Most importantly, she knows that at 41 years old, with a thriving career, a loving husband who actually sees her, and a beautiful daughter who'll grow up watching what real partnership looks like, she made the right choice. Because the alternative, staying comfortable, staying acceptable, staying in a marriage that looked perfect but felt empty, would have killed her soul slowly, one day at a time. And that, she knows now, would have been the real betrayal. Music swells. This is Amanda and Felix's story. Not perfect, not simple, not without casualties and complications and moral gray areas, but real, honest, and ultimately about choosing life over performance. Because sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do isn't taking a risk, it's playing it safe while your authentic self slowly suffocates.